beautiful view at the area surrounding Widener Field in Colorado Springs. Tonight's match is presented by Diversus Health, and on this Cinco de Mayo, El Paso makes the trip for Colorado Springs' annual game on this May the 5th. The Switchbacks sitting second in the league, taking on El Paso, who sit fourth. Joined by former MLS Super Draft pick Ricky Lopez, Aspen, Mike Watts on, and here's a look at the Western Conference right now. A chance to go to first here with a win for Colorado Springs. El Paso could jump all the way up into a tie for second.
And it's going to be interesting for Stephen Hogan and the Switchbacks. How do they come out in the first 10-15 minutes, playing at home in front of their home faithful after going to Charleston, getting a result? So expect them to be on the front foot, asking a lot of questions of El Paso Locomotive here tonight.
Well, the good news for both these teams is since their Open Cup ousters, they've been in very good form. El Paso now 4 without defeat. For Colorado Springs, 3 wins in their last 4.
And they're scoring goals for fun, but you talk about both of these sides. Their last game, El Paso going to San Diego. That's always a difficult place to play against a Nate Miller side. Grind out a 2-1 win. Colorado Springs unbeaten at Charleston, take all 3 points. So expect this game to be extremely tight and extremely competitive for 90 minutes of football here today.
Tonight's players to watch are presented by Keg One Modelo. We start with Malik Foster.
Yeah, and he just gives this Switchback side a different type of look. Vertical, playing off the shoulder of the opposition, but his movement to open up space for each other is very clinical. If he gets in and around that 18-yard box behind the back line of El Paso, it's going to be a very good day for the Switchbacks.
Foster will get the chance to start again here. He replaced Romario Williams in the lineup last time out. Meanwhile, for El Paso, Luis Solignac.
And we talked to Brian Clarhau, and he said, look, I didn't realize how good this man was. The ability to get in between the pockets, beat you 1v1, beat you through combination play. The man can score different types of goals. Get him in and around that 18-yard box, asking all sorts of questions of the Switchbacks in that back line. Brian Clarhau is going to want him on the ball early and often.
Last year, 21 goal contributions in 26 games. These two sides historically very lopsided. El Paso has lost the last 2 against the Switchbacks, however. They have never fallen here. We come back to Widener Field with kickoff when we return. Today's game presented by Diversus Health.
Here at Fox 21 Local News, because we are Southern Colorado, we want to highlight the best of Southern Colorado.
Fox 21 and SoCo CW are launching our very own Best of the Best Southern Colorado campaign.
And now it's your chance to nominate your favorite businesses.
Scan the QR code on screen now to nominate your favorites in one of 4 regions for their chance to be named Best of the Best of Southern Colorado.
Plus, you could win a $250 Visa gift card just for taking part.
Let's hear it, Southern Colorado. Who is the best of the best?
In Southern Colorado, you have to be ready for anything.
Sometimes that involves making a really tough decision. Patagonia or North Face?
We make the most out of a nice day. Hey, grab Aspen, Rocky, and Sierra. Let's go.
And in Southern Colorado, we know it's all about the flavor.
And as our cities grow, we hang on to our Western heritage.
I'm just trying to hold on.
Well, hold on tighter.
I thought you were out this way.
I'm getting off this way. This is how you get up. We are Southern Colorado.
Hey, wait! What about me?
We are Southern Colorado.
Saturday during the summers was our get up and go to Monument Lake fishing. From a little hobby as an 11-year-old kid, it's turned into quite a business.
Our stories matter.
If they're on the trails, if they're in the woods, if they're anywhere, I can be with them now.
Bringing you the most local news.
All of the people that are doing this type of agriculture are trying to do a better thing for society.
We are Fox 21, and together we are Southern Colorado.
Hi, I'm Scott Kilbury, host of Rocky Mountain Quiz Kids. We have 30 of the best and brightest schools from all across Southern Colorado competing for the top spot. Question is, who will come out on top? Watch Rocky Mountain Quiz Kids Sundays at 6:30, sponsored by the Pikes Peak Library District.
Burgers for the mind, tacos for the heart, and chili for the soul. We're Felipe's 109, home of the taco burger. Local flavors, family owned, love, peace, green chili, y'all.
Tonight's player walkout is sponsored by Children's Hospital Colorado. Ziggy leads the way as the Switchbacks and Locomotive on track to kick off in mere moments here at Widener Field in Colorado Springs. Mike and Ricky to walk you through tonight's lineups. They're brought to you by Phil Long. for Colorado Springs. 3 changes, Herrera returns. How about Musa and Ockford in the back?
And those two need to be compact and keep everything in front of them. But my eyes go down to that middle 3, Williams, Echeverria, and Skundrich. How quickly can they get on the ball and implement their game plan? Beckford's going to stay high and wide, so you're going to see Enriquez come underneath Foster. And we talked about Foster in the open. He's going to have the freedom to run and test the shape of El Paso.
All right, meanwhile for El Paso, under their first-year head coach, Brian Clarhout, Navarro out, Lyons in.
And you see Rose and Calvillo in the center of the park pulling the strings, Solignac, Zacharias. What does that relationship look like? Always one come to feet, one going behind, and always play that cat and mouse game and ask questions of the opposition.
Clarhout entering after an extended spell as a head and assistant coach in Sweden. Lucho Solignac, what a start to the campaign he's had for El Paso. The fans here in Colorado Springs ready for a fiesta at Widener Field. There's the opening whistle. Here we go on this Friday night, the USL Championship on Cinco de Mayo. It is the Switchbacks hosting El Paso Locomotive. And Ockford, trailing all the way to the end line, wins a goal kick. Well, it is a fascinating series history between these two teams. Colorado Springs winless in the first 13 meetings, only to win the last 2 and do so by scoring 4 in October. They had a 2-1 win in the Switchbacks' first game of the campaign, El Paso's second, but a lot's changed from then to now.
Now you look at this Colorado Springs Switchbacks, obviously Stephen Hogan coming in, Brendan Burke goes into MLS, but you talk about the rhythm that they're in at the moment, going into a Charleston Battery side coached by Ben Pierman, who probably has his fingerprint all over USL Championship in that Eastern Conference. To go into that, deal with the delay, take all 3 points, they have to be extremely confident at the moment.
A long delay at that. It's picked off centrally by Jairo Henriquez. Beckford angled in. Solignac. Yuma. A little bit of bounce on this turf tonight. Back by Miles Lyons, his 4th start as a professional. The 20-year-old from Tucson, Arizona, played just 6 minutes last year. Was featured in every game for El Paso so far this season at right back.
I think it's going to be very interesting for these outside backs for both of these organizations, whether you're Lyons Borelli for El Paso, Segrist and Lacroix for Colorado Springs, just your counterparts, the way that Beckford likes to play. We mentioned it's high and wide, so it's going to give Borelli a choice. Do I stay compact or do I meet him out? Because Beckford's very good 1v1. Henriquez is going to be able to drift centrally. But yeah, Petrovic and Kosh's team, we talked about them with Brian Clarehout, saying how special they've been since coming into El Paso Locomotive.
Castician scored twice already this year, maybe the best threader of the ball in the league. Picked off here by Beckford. Goes over Foster. Couldn't connect with Skundrich. Picked off by Benny Diaz. Return to Lyons. Speedy Williams collects in midfield. Chipped up for Segrist.
For the latest Switchbacks FC news and ticket information, go to switchbacksfc.com.
There's Lions friendly against the Barca Academy. Used to be the Real Salt Lake setup down in Arizona. First player to sign with El Paso out of that academy setup since, well, a guy who ended up at RSL anyways. Diego Luna.
Not a bad player to follow.
No.
I think his relationship with Kostitian right in front of him is going to be extremely important. You never want to get caught on the same plane, whether Kostitian comes centrally, gives you real estate to come around the corner. So those two need to get on the ball, be confident in terms of their relationship and movement.
Rover Borelli. Back here to Herrera. It's the two center backs and goalkeeper that change game over game for Colorado Springs. The 3 changes in the starting 11, the most game over game for the Switchbacks all season in the league. Out to Segrist. Lines up Lions. It'll be a corner.
And you're going to see a lot of Patrick Segrist getting into that final third. The movement, the motor to get in advance, but very good at the ball at his feet as well. Give credit to Lions. Doesn't dive in, puts it out for a corner kick.
This corner kick is brought to you by Pikes Peak National Bank. Bank well, be well, cheer loud. Corner across. Not the most well hit.
Olson Plumbing and Heating Company, serving and building Colorado Springs for 105 years.
Foster will press. Here's Diaz. Became pretty familiar with him his time in Oakland last year.
And it's interesting, Mike, we talked to Brian Clarehow, saying, what do you think the keys are for your side? He said, look, we have to be mature on the ball. The way that Colorado Springs Switchbacks like to play, turn defense into offense extremely quick. Transition moments you have. Malik Foster, look at the goal that he scored at Charleston. Prime example. So if you're Yuma, Povkovich in the middle of the back line, how clean can you be with the ball at your feet?
Skundrich got it wide. Over Foster, fell to Segrist. Echeverria. Segrist spinning Henriquez. Winds another cross. Beckford tracks it down. Threaded ahead, Skundrich. Beckford on the first time, Diaz. On the drive, Petrovic takes a shot, kicked away by Herrera. Kostitian has a go himself, handled again by Herrera, who slots back in after a 1-game layoff behind Joe Kuzminski last week.
And just a winger's connection. But look at this run here from Borelli. That freezes Ockford. Do I come centrally? Petrovic very good at creating his own space, but just so unfortunate, hits it straight at Herrera. Just see the relationship and understanding between Kostitian and Petrovic. Changing the point of attack extremely quick from this El Paso Locomotive side.
Williams able to get that in behind. There's a tug at the back, but not enough to draw a whistle, as Diaz claims.
And he's just so good with his movement. Beckford is, as he comes off the corner. Borelli, there's not enough in there. As Borelli has his arms on Beckford, but it's going to be very difficult to point for the spot. When you have Speedy Williams in the center of the park, the ability to pull the strings, his passing range, his vision, all of the above. Highly touted midfielder in terms of USL Championship. Give him the willing runners between Foster and Beckford. It's a nightmare to defend against.
Beckford couldn't hang on.
291 Colorado whiskey. Ride it like you stole it. Drink it like you own it.
When he causes just so many problems. Stays high and wide, so that gives real estate for whether it's a Skundrich, Enriquez to come and operate in those half spaces underneath Malik Foster. So there needs to be a lot of communication for Borelli and Yuma to the rotation, who's going to step, because you can't give those players time and space, especially 25 yards out of your own 18-yard box.
into Williams. They've added another Jamaican to this team, Tyreek McGee, signed on Tuesday, not available in this game. 10 caps for Jamaica, make 5 Reggae boys for Colorado Springs. Leading down the line, Petrovic. Glides in on Ockford. Petrovic breaks free, sends it across, Solignac. Lucho does it again. And El Paso on the road grabbed the goal inside 10 minutes.
And it's a dream start here for the Locomotive, turning their defense into offense extremely quick. But just look at the top of your screen, the movement from Solignac. You understand as Petrovic goes to work, let me just extend my run. Right off the shoulder of Musa, between him and Lacroix, no one steps up. The movement in and around that 18-yard box from a striker is so deadly. Peels off, change of pace, no one marks him. Easy tap and goal for Lucio Solignac to get his 5th goal on the year. Terrific start for Brian Kellehart's boys.
33 games in the Rocky Mountains with the Rapids when he first arrived in the U.S. in 2015 and 2016. Managed just 3 goals. That is 5 on the year for Luis Solignac. Ball ahead. Foster, keeper's out, puts it across, the header is high. Skundrich had Yuma standing at the goal line, but no keeper in the way as Diaz had tried to test Foster.
Just causes so much chaos just with his movement. As Diaz comes off, he's caught in no man's land. But now it's all about composure here from Foster. Get your body around and pick out a player. And he does extremely well to find Skundrich. Good relationship. As your striker goes out wide, who's going to be centrally? Skundrich is going to want this one back. Just goes up and over the bar. You just see how explosive the switchbacks are.
Lobbed along. Solignac back. He has now contributed to a goal in 5 straight league games. 5 goals, 1 assist in that span. Has absolutely caught fire.
And it's just about his movement, whether it's off the ball, on the ball, creating opportunities for him, not only himself, but other players. As Petrovic is standing up, Ockford, it's that secondary movement. He cuts it back, says, I'm not going to get it. Where can I get in a dangerous situation? Great work from the winger, Petrovic. And off to the corner to celebrate for Lucho. Just terrific in terms of attacking football from El Paso.
Well, they've now scored in the first half of every game this season. And when they score first, 17 without a loss. So the Switchbacks certainly have their work cut out for them. And El Paso have grabbed yet another early goal. It was Zacharias away to San Diego last week who scored in the 13th. Rose, who occupies a double pivot. Alongside Calvillo, deep lying. Kostishin. Ball tap central, Zacharias able to push it across. 2-0, El Paso. What a phenomenal start. It's Petrovic. And the Locomotive is on track. 2-0 away to Colorado Springs.
Off the ball movement as Kashi comes centrally. But look at the underlap here from Zacharias. It's a bit of a long touch there between him and Speedy Williams. But when you have Petrovic on the end of it, opens up his hips and calmly slots it into that far post, right underneath the arm of Herrera. Changing the point of attack, playing off the ball movement, working together for El Paso Locomotive. Solignac pulls wide, Zacharias comes centrally, Petrovic stays high and wide, finds a gift to get his third on the season. El Paso 2-0 up on the road.
Brian Clairhout had seen Petrovic for a number of years. You know, he described to us, he was at Malmo. Everyone thought he had this massive future, including in a Champions League club consistently in Europe. But an ACL derailed that for a time. Knew he could come here and be extremely successful. And Petrovic has made him seem quite clairvoyant.
And you can see 15 minutes in, just causing a headache for the Switchbacks in his positioning.
Good little dip through by Lacroix, who scored the winner in El Paso back in March.
So now what does this look like for the Switchbacks? Not ideal. 15 minutes in, 2-0 down at home. You're looking at a Speedy Williams and Echeverria experience in the center of the park. This take the sting out of El Paso Locomotive, move the ball from left to right, get the confidence within your team again, and go back to playing the football that Stephen Hogan wants them to play.
Coming into this game, there was talk about trying to overload the central midfield areas and whether or not that would be valuable to them. They've gotten Beckford on the ball quite a bit. How do you get a little bit more of maybe Skundrich on the ball now, Henriquez? Because when you put Foster in the game, part of the conversation we have with the coaching staff this week, it expands the back line and gives you that pocket to allow the footballers to go to work.
So it's all about the movement and the reading of the space between Skundrich and Henriquez. Skundrich, we've seen him, the legs that he have on him, the ability to cover ground is something that Stephen Hogan loves about Drew, but Henriquez is going to be the one more skillful on the ball in the half pockets off the shoulder of Cabillo and Rose. So get him on the ball in those half spaces, facing forward with willing runners. We talk about Foster, we talk about Beckford. That's going to be really important for the Switchbacks.
Player down, an injury stoppage brought to you by Centura Health. Thankfully, that's short-lived. Borelli's back up.
As this ball comes high and wide, once again, Beckford very awkwardly heads into the straight of the face of Borelli. Doesn't feel good. Good to see him up on his feet on his own power. Brilliant football here from Locomotive. Just a relationship on that front line, whether it's Solignac and Zacharias.
Whoa,
Watch out.
Challenger. Benny Diaz. He had that covered.
And again, just a movement from Foster, causing all sorts of chaos. And I'll tell you what, I think he's out of the box there. As Diaz steps up,
Well, that's
lands
what
in out of the box.
Foster's saying. Yeah.
Nervy moments in the back for Locomotive in terms of Yuma and Diaz, the lack of communication.
Ball whipped across. No real question there for Herrera from Lions.
And just sloppy for the Switchbacks at the moment in terms of their possession, their decision-making, coverage, and a slow start for the back line for Stephen Hogan. If you're at Paso, you're extremely pleased just sitting into your mid to low block and asking questions, telling the center backs for the Switchbacks to beat us. Defensively, Brian Carrot has his boys extremely compact, making life extremely difficult for the Switchbacks to break through at the moment.
Spinned up to Segrist. Lacroix. Echeverria. Dropped off Skundrich. Three players go sliding for it. Skundrich followed. And El Paso trying to break with 4 white shirts driving ahead. Kostishin, wonderful threaded through ball. Solignac off his line. Herrera breaks it up.
But it's far too easy for El Paso. Just the overlap run. Kostishin does extremely well to come centrally. And then it's Lucho just playing off the shoulder in between Lacroix and Oxford. No one steps up. And if you're Lucho, you're gonna want this one back. But just look how he makes this run, the change of pace. No one tracks him onside by a mile. And I think if Lucho goes with his left foot, has a better angle, that touch lets him down. Herrera does extremely well to come off his line and closes down the angle. But whether you're the center backs, Musa, Lacroix, communication needs to be better, whether it's bringing back a Speedy Williams, a Steven Echeverria, but you're getting carved open far too easy from El Paso.
Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. Go to us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Rolled over by Musa, Speedy Williams, Oxford. This is really expansive from Colorado Springs.
But you've seen him sloppy turnovers, how explosive El Paso is going into hitting the space. So how clean can they be in finding these pockets like this?
Come on, Rob!
Henriquez bailed out with the whistle. Held up by Rose. Beckford has a go. Diaz claims.
And you can live with this if you're Stephen Hogan. Just someone taking the initiative to create something. Well, there's a shot from distance, asking questions of Benny Diaz, who's been widely untested 25 minutes in. Just been a bit stagnant for the Switchbacks.
Zacharias. Yuma.
Great ball.
Petrovic. He's got a goal already. Whips it across. Out beyond Zacharias. Gentlemanly applause from Solignac as well. Is it as simple as Colorado Springs at this stage needs to be, dare I say, more mature on the ball? Is it that simple?
He's just sloppy at the moment. And I do think you can use the word mature, you can use the word more decisive and clean. Too many sloppy turnovers, but when you're not on the ball as well, players not covering for each other, not tracking the runners. But you have to give credit to El Paso, just the timing between Solignac, Petrovic, and Kostishin, causing all sorts of problems, and Wiley asking questions that are not answered at the moment. That front unit for Brian Carhout is having a joyful 24 minutes in. We touched on it a bit earlier, Mike, just saying you need to get Henriquez and Skundrich on the ball. So quiet. Haven't really said their name much in this broadcast, and they're the suppliers too. Malik Foster, the Shane Beckford. You don't get those guys on the ball, it's very difficult to get your special players in the attacking third.
Zacharias did well to plow through. Solignac. Back from Borelli. Rose. Tovkovic up for Lions. Kostishin from a long way out. Herrera pushes it over. No player in the league has attempted more shots than Dennis Kostishin. Why not?
But no one closes him down from the switchbacks. He's about 35 yards out, picks his head up, says, I have a pocket of space. Why not just try to chip and go over? Herrera, he hits it extremely well, but good goalkeeping to punch it over the bar. But it's very lackadaisical at the moment and passes it from the switchbacks in their defensive phase. No one closing down space.
Corner kick brought to you by Pepsi. Pepsi, that's what I like. Petrovic, away by Herrera. Breaking free Lions. Musa. Header back down. Petrovic, end line, Herrera. And Herrera trying to get everybody on the same page right now.
And rightly so. On their heels. Not proactive, sloppy turnover, just playing out of the back. The wrong decision. Stephen Hogan will be extremely frustrated with how his boys have started this game 26 minutes in. Herrera's keeping them in this game, willing his boys to turn it up in terms of urgency and tempo.
Service, Herrera from his goal line knocks that away. This struck from distance wide of the mark. And finally a goal kick and a respite for Colorado Springs.
Petrovic hits this with a lot of whip and a lot of power. Herrera does extremely well, invites the contact, goes over, up and over. The players that punch it to freedom.
Segrist. Henriquez. Too far for Skundrich.
And it's interesting, we've talked to Stephen Hogan. Saying a key to their match is just playing off the shoulder of Cavillo and Rose, the two center midfielders for El Paso. We haven't really seen the movement in between Skundrich and those half spaces. It's been very direct into an oncoming Seacrest, Beckford or Foster. Not really playing between the lines, no combination at the moment for the switchbacks.
Away from Zacharias. Here's Petrovic, former Serbian youth international, then a Swedish youth international. Before arriving here in El Paso, his whole career between those two countries. Snap header back, Diaz. There's Yuma. He's stuck around from day one here. One of three Jacksonville players that followed Mark Lowry into this initial expansion franchise and went on to have tremendous early success. 5th year in the league, playoffs in the first 3 years. Twice they went to the conference finals. Ball through for Foster. Well, Foster was hounding Pavkovic. To remind you, don't miss a minute of the action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Nearly every second of the USL Championship season is on ESPN+. It's your home to the USL, La Liga, Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up at plus.espn.com. That was well worked by El Paso. This has been a very impressive first 30 minutes.
You look extremely comfortable just playing out of the back, finding those half spaces between lines. been very impressed with just the movement and the relationship between Cavillo and Rose. As one stays at the pivot, the other one advances into a higher line. Then you have top players, whether it's Petrovic, Solonyak, Zacharias.
Ball over the top. Zacharias. Oh, what a stop by Herrera. Well, this could quickly become an avalanche from El Paso. Herrera has made a couple of enormous plays for the Switchbacks. Yuma nods down. Musa over to Lacroix. Williams turning. Henriquez nearly through for Foster. Skundridge can't believe it.
And it's probably the best passage or play we've seen from the Switchbacks. But again, just look at the freedom, the space, the real estate for Zacharias as Musa is not connected with Ockford, excuse me. There needs to be more communication, coverage for each other. You want to stay compact. It's far too easy for a Paso just to knife through this back line of the Switchbacks. But give credit to Herrera once again, coming off his line, just picking the pocket of Zacharias. I think he's caught between two minds.
Petrovic got whacked here. Struggled to pick that up off the turf, and Ockford ran him over.
Yeah, has to be a bit of frustration there from Ockford. The ball's up and away. Knows what he's doing, just comes through the backside of Petrovic.
Injury stoppage brought to you by Centura Health. Solingnac down to Costician. Henriquez goes twirling off. Williams, and now finally Echeverria wins it for Colorado Springs. Yuma tracking back. Awkwardly slowed it, but didn't stop it. Beckford shadowed by Yuma. That's a corner.
And signs of life for the Switchbacks. Ability to turn their defensive efforts into attacking opportunities, whether it's Foster, whether it's Beckford just playing off the shoulder of Yuma. Very unorthodox from the center back, but he does well to get on his feet again and just negate this attacking transition moment from the Switchbacks.
This corner kick is brought to you by McDivitt Law Firm. We are in your corner. It doesn't look exactly like Jairo Henriquez to kick the ball, but nevertheless. Henriquez off of Musa.
Want to enjoy your favorite cocktail during the game? Look for Cutwater Spirits canned cocktails at the Founders Club Cutwater Bar or other club spaces and concourse concessions.
Now, you look at the referee there on the sideline and those on the field. The U.S. soccer community lost a valuable voice in the refereeing community, Terry Vaughn, this week. It is the commencement of Huntington's Disease Awareness Month. Terry Vaughn valiantly fought that disease for quite some time. Ball whipped across and away by Musa. Settled. Petrovic angling. He'll bring it back. Open Cup finals, some of the biggest games in Major League Soccer. Terry Vaughn was at the helm for all of them, and when Huntington's disease struck, played a massive role in leading the next generation of American referees. Our thoughts with the entire pro referees organization, Terry's family. It's a monumental loss for American soccer, suffered a few days ago. And the blue wristbands will continue not only this month, but assuredly for many, many years to come, honoring his legacy and bringing awareness to a brutal disease. Sent away, this will be a throw. Switchbacks in second place. A win today, they'd move top of the Western Conference. That is not how this has played out. El Paso have been tremendous. They would pull level on second place on 16 points with a win today. They would move above Colorado Springs on goal difference if this holds.
It's a hard challenge there.
And a yellow card as well. Yellow card sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe.
And as Lyons comes in, I'll tell you what, he needs to be extremely careful. The studs are exposed. He comes in late and catches Lacroix. Very rash challenge from the right back. He needs to be extremely disciplined now to pick up a yellow card. 36th minute, positioning, the challenges that he decides to go into.
This free kick scoring opportunity is brought to you by Underline, delivering gigabit fiber internet.
Well, it leads to a free kick here. Scoring opportunity brought to you by Underline, delivering gigabit fiber internet. Underline.com/COS. Well, it does find its way to Benny Diaz. Diaz has it under control. Yuma slow to get up. Saying he took a apparent head-to-head contact. Yuma's saying, I'm okay.
Fans, make sure to stick around after the match ends tonight to watch the fireworks show.
You just heard it, Ricky. They've got fireworks later tonight. Are you interested?
Love fireworks. Big fan. You?
Yeah, enormous. Of course.
You'll be watching with Ziggy, I suppose?
Yes, yes. we usually, even if there weren't fireworks, I would probably be hanging out with Ziggy after the game, but Malik Foster. This is bright for the Switchbacks. Beckford fading in. Foster, Yuma last to touch it. And this will be a corner kick presented by McDivitt Law Firm. We're in your corner.
But once again, it's just this darting run here from Foster. From essentially drifts out to the right-hand side. But it's better, like you mentioned, Mike, from Henriquez and Skundrich to have that secondary run, that secondary phase to get into that dangerous area, a very dangerous set piece for the Switchbacks in hopes to claw themselves back.
Service through toward Musa. Falls for Echeverria. Lashed at frame, brought in by Beckford. Now the run out is in for El Paso. Petrovic. Cut off by Lacroix. Petrovic creating left-footed blast, and Herrera puts it into the trailheads.
This corner kick is brought to you by Pepsi.
You commit so many numbers forward on a corner kick, it leaves you extremely vulnerable going back the other way. At first, it's brilliant defending here from Lacroix to slow down Petrovic. You can't teach that. The skill to close his hips at the last second, the slow roll. He sends Lacroix packing. But Herrera, once again, the savior for the Switchbacks to keep this thing at 2-0. He's been so good. The ability to beat players 1v1, extremely comfortable with the ball at his feet. And also understanding the real estate to run into. He's been a bright spot for Brian Clarehout's boys.
Corner through. That's Lions. That'll be a goal kick, and that is what I like from the Pepsi corner kick. A simple goal kick at the end. Ziggy. Taking in the sights and sounds. He didn't get one of the... You would have thought he'd be among the first couple thousand in the building to get the free bucket hat, but Maybe they don't fit on the horns.
I was going to say, I don't know if they have double XL for him.
Regrettably, I think Ziggy and I have the same hat size. The touch centrally, Borelli asking for a free kick. He's got it.
But again, just so many gaps in between lines. Whether it's Zacharias or Solignac to pop off that back line off the shoulder of Echeverria and Speedy Williams. When you play a double pivot like the Switchbacks do, you both can't get caught up high the field. Leaves too much real estate and too much to ask for your back line. The players that El Paso have on that front line, they can hurt you time after time, and we've seen it throughout this first half.
5 minutes to go in the opening frame. Halftime, we'll take a look at each team's upcoming schedule and why, when they are at home over the next month and a half, you should really go and see them, because it's going to be a few and far between experience. James Musa stepping into the team here for the first time this year. After 105 games in Phoenix. All up for Skundrich. Colorado Springs is getting closer to breaking the padlock.
Just committing more numbers in that final third. Beckford once again, as he stays wide, Borelli has to come and face him, so that gives a real estate for Echeverria to play in this half spot as Yuma gets drawn out. Skundrich does extremely well to make this late run from a deep line position off the shoulder of Palkovic. Once again, just so unlucky for that man not to get it on target. But it's better from the Switchbacks in terms of playing together, moving together, and pulling players out of position.
Falls to Enriquez. Jairo Enriquez. Beckford floats backside. Header snapped out. Diaz denies Segrist. El Paso running up the line, ran out of room. Colorado Springs starting to find themselves in the last minutes.
And it's a brilliant ball in from Enriquez to shift it out wide. But Beckford understands as everyone's crashing towards that far post, there's going to be that oncoming run from Patrick Seacrest. He does everything right, heads it down, back to where it came across. Very awkwardly, Benny Diaz saves it. You start to see the ideas come into fruition now. Great move.
And Foster mishits the finale. We said the fireworks were post-game. Perhaps once on the field for Colorado Springs will start after halftime.
And he's starting to feel it. You can see it, just the movement off the shoulder, sniffing out every little opportunity that he can get. So opportunistic, so quick. As he beats Yuma Stewart, just pulls it a bit too wide, becomes a bit more eager. Just lacking that last bit of quality the Switchbacks are at the moment.
Segrist, Williams, back from Skundrich. Musa. They've gone the Beckford route again. Beckford! This will be a corner. Yuma disrupting the run of Skundrich. This is a McDivitt Law Firm corner kick. McDivitt is in your corner. Colorado Springs makes something of all the pressure they've had off that of Yuma. Forward from Echeverria. Yuma called off by Diaz. Diaz is smirking, why not?
It could have turned out a lot different than the way it did. A good understanding between Diaz and Yuma.
Kostishin goes down, aided by Echeverria. Petrovic. That's Borelli living in a new zip code.
The fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 2 minutes added to the
Stoppage time brought to you by the TikTok Shop. 2 added minutes.
Once again, very sloppy from Colorado Springs, just trying to play out of the back, not on the same page between Ockford and Beckford at that moment.
Pavkovic.
Let's go.
Henriquez wheeling upfield. Too far for Segrist.
Be sure to get your tickets to the Switchbacks.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me in speaking to Brian Clairhout, part of it was about controlling the match, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point. But also the fact that he felt they went too defensive too soon last game. I haven't really felt that here. They've been willing to go punch for punch, keep the game open, and attack the way they have, and been successful.
I just think it's all about the mentality from the boys. You know Brian Clairhout, after talking with him, saying that's going to be a message to the boys, saying once we get that first, we're going to go for that second. Once we get the second, we go for that third.
Kostishin, Petrovic. Well, vital intervention. Everybody got sucked into the opposite side. Calvillo, Solignac. Turnover high up the field. 2 good looks at it right at the end of the half.
And I do think that the only downside for Brian Clairhout is going to want the third to put this game to bed. There's opportunities to be had, whether it's Zacharias, Solignac's getting into good spots to find his brace on the night, same as Petrovic. It's all about, again, too easy to break through the line, to play off the shoulder of a Speedy Williams and ask questions of a Musa and Ockford. That's something that Stephen Hogan's going to want to get right in the second half, just the shape and the compactness. But how quickly does he go to the bench? You have Romali Williams to be a focal point to play off of Jay Chapman. But if you're up Paso Locomotive, Brian Clairhout had to be extremely pleased, especially with this young man in terms of his movement in around that 18-yard box and that final third, the quality that he brings.
A career-high 16 goals last year for Luis Solignac. He scored just 3, mentioned earlier when he was with the Rapids for the better part of 2 seasons. Well, it's 31 in just over 2 campaigns for the Locomotive. And he did so inside 10 minutes. Ziggy will keep the crowd up. Meanwhile, you'd think it'll be a strong conversation in the dressing room. A big hole early for Colorado Springs. They do respond fairly well. It is El Paso 2-0 at the break. Tonight's broadcast is presented by Diversus Health. Back in a moment.
Burgers for the mind, tacos for the heart, and chili for the soul. We're Felipe's 109, home of the taco burger. Local flavors, family owned, love, peace, green chili, y'all.
Ready for a race? It all starts June 11th at 7 a.m. The Garden of the Gods 10-mile, 10K and trail run. Bring your friends and family to the post-race expo. Enjoy the stunning scenery, vendor booths, food and drinks. For event times, go to garden10mile.com.
You know how much we like to highlight local on Loving Living Local.
Now is your chance to nominate your favorite businesses for our Best of the Best Southern Colorado campaign.
Scan the code on your screen now to nominate your favorite businesses in one of 4 regions for their chance to be named Best of the Best of Southern Colorado.
Then on May 8th, voting begins.
And the best part is you can win a $250 Visa gift card just for participating.
Let's hear it, Southern Colorado. Who is the best of the best?
We've all heard the phrase before, the mountains are calling. Well, these mountains are screaming. That's what gets me out here in the pool every day. They energize me, even when I'm not feeling it. In fact, they energize our whole family. We have done so much more outside in Colorado, hiking, biking, swimming, fishing, skiing, you name it, and we owe it to the mountains. They literally take your breath away.
Watch Scott Kilbury on Fox 21 Local News, weeknights at 5, 6:30, 9, and 10.
In Southern Colorado, you have to be ready for anything.
Sometimes that involves making a really tough decision. Patagonia or North Face?
We make the most out of a nice day. Hey, grab Aspen, Rocky, and Sierra. Let's go.
And in Southern Colorado, we know it's all about the flavor.
And as our cities grow, we hang on to our Western heritage.
I'm just trying to hold on.
Well, hold on tighter.
I thought you got this way.
I'm getting off this way. This is how you get up. We are Southern Colorado.
Welcome back to halftime on this Cinco de Mayo celebration at Widener Field in Colorado Springs. Our halftime coverage is presented by Diversus Health. Tonight's honorary healthcare professional of the match, stroke coordinator at Centura Health, Christina Williamson. Thank you, Christina, for all you've done to help our community. The healthcare professional of the match, co-sponsored by Encore Electric, along with Olson Plumbing and Heating. Mike and Ricky back with you. Let's get you caught up on the Switchbacks upcoming schedule. On the road again for the rest of May.
And it's going to be very interesting for Stephen Hogan. I think this part of their schedule is going to be extremely important. You're on the road, like you mentioned, then you welcome Oakland Roots, you welcome Orange County. But if you're Stephen Hogan, this meet, it needs to be extremely important to pick up points on the road.
Yeah, they sit 5-2-1 coming into tonight's second in the league. But if you fail to get those road points, things could get real dicey real quick come the stretch run in June. Meanwhile, for El Paso, they've got a long road trip as well, and a lot of miles they're going to have to fly. San Antonio, local-ish, but they'll go east and west. But it starts with a home game against Loudon next week.
And he talked to Brian Clarehout. He's going to say, look, we need to pick up points at home. So you welcome Loudon, you welcome Las Vegas, but then you go into Birmingham, New Mexico, and San Antonio. You mentioned it, Mike. Really important to pick up points on the road, whether it's 3 points, whether it's 1 point. But if you know Brian Clarehout, very competitive, wants to take all 3 points every single time they step on the field.
Yeah, their goal isn't to finish well in October. It's to play well week in and week out, including October. Meanwhile, here in Colorado Springs, halftime at Widener Field. Got plenty more of our halftime coverage. It's presented by Diversus Health. There's a look at your score. Beautiful night here in Colorado Springs. Back in a moment after these messages.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Fox 21 local news because we are Southern Colorado. We want to highlight the best of Southern Colorado.
Fox 21 and SoCo CW are launching our very own Best of the Best Southern Colorado campaign.
And now it's your chance to nominate your favorite businesses.
Scan the QR code on screen now to nominate your favorites in one of 4 regions for their chance to be named Best of the Best of Southern Colorado.
Plus, you could win a $250 Visa gift card just for taking part.
Let's hear it, Southern Colorado. Who is the best of the best?
Welcome back to halftime. Sun is set here in Colorado Springs, as you can beautifully see. There's your halftime score. It's presented by Diversus Health. Mike and Ricky, let's show you USL news and notes, the championship and beyond. Richard Chaplow won the title as an interim coach at Orange County in 2021, but a last place finish last year, followed by a bottom of the table start this year, sees the club legend out and Morten Carlson in.
A lot of question marks for Orange County at the moment. They welcome San Diego here tomorrow. So what is this going to look like? You know there's going to be a lot of emotion. San Diego coming off a loss as well. So that one's to keep an eye out on.
Louisville City, Miami, May 13th, ESPN2. First game of the year on national TV around the league, and Enzo Martinez finally getting paid in more ways than one. 2 goals, 1 assist. He's the player of the week in the championship. Of course, Louisville and Miami, not the only teams getting the national spotlight. We've got 3 games in July, including Louisville City and Detroit, who've struggled to start the year. Phoenix and Memphis, no one really knows what to make of that just yet.
Yeah, that one's good. I had my eye on that one as well. Juan Garrett, Phoenix Rising. Memphis 901 started a bit slow, but starting to pick up steam. But you know the atmosphere in Phoenix, they're going to be ready. They're going to be loud. Excited to watch that one.
Yep. Meanwhile, the Western Conference standings proves kind to both of these teams right now, both in position to host a playoff game if the season ended today. Of course, it doesn't. 9 through 12 right now in the drop zone.
Yeah, I'm looking at Las Vegas Lights. They host San Antonio tonight. So what does this look like? And then they turn around and they play Sunday again. So that one's going to be very interesting. 2 home games for Isidro Sanchez, Orange County. We talked about them. The new head coach coming in, welcoming San Diego. So there's all to play for. And this is going to be an important month for USL Championship, especially in this Western Conference.
Chance to pull away from the pack. All those games on ESPN+. Meanwhile, we do have 2 of the top 4 meeting here in Colorado Springs tonight. Your halftime coverage is presented by Diversus Health. A look back at first half highlights and stats when we return after these messages and a word from your local station.
Hi, I'm Scott Kilbury, host of Rocky Mountain Quiz Kids. We have 30 of the best and brightest schools from all across Southern Colorado competing for the top spot. Question is, who will come out on top? Watch Rocky Mountain Quiz Kids Sundays at 6:30, sponsored by the Pikes Peak Library District.
We are Southern Colorado.
Saturday during the summers was our get up and go to Monument Lake fishing. From a little hobby as an 11-year-old kid, it's turned into quite a business.
Our stories matter.
If they're on the trails, if they're in the woods, if they're anywhere, I can be with them now.
Bringing you the most local news.
All of the people that are doing this type of agriculture are trying to do a better thing for society.
We are Fox 21, and together we are Southern Colorado.
Burgers for the mind, tacos for the heart, and chili for the soul. We're Felipe's 109, home of the taco burger. Local flavors, family owned, love, peace, green chili, y'all.
I moved here about 8 years ago to join the Fox 21 News team. I thought I'd only be here for a couple of years, but I absolutely fell in love with Southern Colorado. I also fell in love with a Pueblo boy when I was interviewing him about his food truck. Now we're married, we have this little girl, and my parents actually owned a restaurant in Arkansas, a catfish restaurant, so it's exciting that my daughter gets to grow up in a restaurant too, in her daddy's kitchen in Pueblo.
Yeah.
Watch Taylor Bishop, weeknights at 5, 6:30, 9, and 10.
In Southern Colorado, you have to be ready for anything.
Sometimes that involves making a really tough decision. Patagonia or North Face?
We make the most out of a nice day. Hey, grab Aspen, Rocky, and Sierra. Let's go.
And in Southern Colorado, we know it's all about the flavor.
And as our cities grow, we hang on to our Western heritage.
I'm just trying to hold on.
Well, hold on tighter.
I thought you were out this way.
I'm getting off this way. This is how you get up.
Halftime presented by Diversus Health. Beautiful sunset. This is downtown Colorado Springs. El Paso have stampeded into Colorado and grabbed a 2-0 lead inside 15 minutes of play. Mike Watts, Ricky Lopez, Espen. Let's take a look at halftime highlights. They're brought to you by Broadmoor Cryotherapy. And after the opening 30 minutes or so, I would think Colorado Springs probably felt the need for a lot of cryotherapy.
And it's all about this left-hand side between Petrovic and Borelli. As Borelli comes around the corner, Petrovic comes centrally. We're going to see more of Herrera and Petrovic after this. But you just see turning their defense into offense, the ability to stretch the game. And when you have Lucho Solignac, look at him, the top of the 18-yard box. It's its second movement. He hangs bow. Then he changes his speed, playing off the shoulder of Musa Lacroix. No one steps him up. Petrovic does extremely well to beat Ockford. And then when you get yourself in a dangerous situation, it's an easy finish for a player that quality. Also the corner to celebrate.
34 games in the last year and a half. He's got 21 games and 6 assists. Colorado Springs was not without the chances of their own.
Yeah, it all came through the runs of Foster, just pulling players out of position, but he does extremely well, composes himself and finds the head of Skundrich, and just very difficult to get over your right shoulder to put it on target. But again, once again, just an off-the-ball movement. Solignac pulls Musa over. There's no rotation between Ockford. Williams is slow. Ball comes out to Petrovic, and he makes no mistake about this finish. Opens up his hips and calmly slots it in to that far post right on the arm of Herrera.
Third goal in 7 games since arriving in El Paso. Locomotive looking for another here. Why not if you're Kostichin?
Yeah, very cheeky, just trying to go over the top. He sees Herrera off his line, but the Herrera just makes a massive save to punch it over the crossbar.
All right, here's a look at the first half stats. They're brought to you by Broadmoor Cryotherapy. 7 shots for Colorado Springs, so while El Paso have been clinical, consistent, controlling, Switchbacks still have a road back in.
And you see 2 shots on target. You're going to want to test Benny Diaz a bit more, but we're going to be very interesting not to see what Foster, Beckford, and Henriquez have up their sleeve. This is when you dig down deep, you create that little bit of magic, whether it's a combination play, a shot from distance. Going to be very interesting to see how the Switchbacks come out in this first 10 to 15 minutes in the second half.
The lights are flickering here at Widener. This will be the home to the summer showcase this year in the championship when they take on Tulsa over the summer. If you're trying to build a venue in the championship, this is almost the perfect blueprint with which to do it. El Paso undefeated in their last 27 championship matches when leading at halftime. 23-0-4, dating back to that brutal match against Real Monarchs in November of 2019. The conference final gone awry as the Monarchs went on to win the title that year in the following match against Louisville City. Second half underway here. That's Williams upfield for Beckford. Beckford and line. Benny. Diaz on it.
But it's a fantastic ball from Beckford. Someone needs to get across that first post, whether it's Foster, whether it's Henriquez. What that does, it pulls apart a center back. If you leave the ball, opens up that secondary run. But if you get on the end of it, it's an easy tap in. Just a terrific vision from Beckford. Just no one making that run he's begging for.
That was his 6th cross, most of any player on the field right now. The Switchbacks already have more crosses attempted. That was 18 than they average over the course of a full game this season. Pavkovic away. James Musa. Pavkovic stepped in admirably for El Paso. Kostichin back. Henriquez will pressure by his lonesome. It's a powerful header by Ockford. So if you're Colorado Springs, how different does this look in the second half? The 2 goals inside 15 minutes obviously tilt the scales, but number of chances there in the final 25. How much do you deviate now?
I think you just keep on doing what you were doing the later part of that first half, whether it's playing into the feet of this man, Beckford coming around the corner, keep asking questions, keep pulling Yuma Pavkovic out of position. That's when you have the most real estate with that secondary run. We've seen Skundrich get involved in and around that 18-yard box. So if you're Stephen Hogan, you're willing your boys to keep asking questions and keep your foot on the pedal.
Zacharias the foul, this free kick scoring opportunity brought to you by Underline, delivering gigabit fiber internet. Underline.com/COS. It's the El Salvador international Henriquez. Sort of snuck up on Diaz a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, there's really good ball in from Henriquez. That's right where you want it, right between that 6-yard box and penalty mark.
Petrovic intercepted en route to Williams. That's a wonderful diagonal, sending Zacharias. Lines up Lacroix. Yeah, we've all been there.
He knows he should do better. He could do better with the quality that he has. Talk about this entry ball in for Petrovic once again, outside the left foot, over 20, 30 yards into the path of Zacharias. He's putting on a show, the winger for El Paso.
Zacharias scored earlier this year against the Switchbacks. Had 7 assists last year. Beckford, touched away by Eder Borelli. Skundrich. Speedy Williams. Skundrich, met by Yuma. Beckford, that's well done. Williams, overtaken by Calvillo. You know, it's funny, I keep looking at my paper going, how does he have hair that good? How does he still run that well? Yuma at 37 with all the youth and vitality, mobility it takes to still play in this league that can be so transitional.
He's been very good, especially in that first half.
Corner kick brought to you by T-Roll Price. Invest with confidence. Henriquez. A couple of bowling pins went down. Still, it's Echeverria. The reserve. Away from Diaz. Touch forward from Lacroix. Williams got around Solignac. They beat a few numbers upfield here. Beckford against Lions. Tried to go for the jugular with Diaz. Instead floats it over.
And I'll tell you what, he does not miss by much. Doesn't need more than 2-3 yards to create his own space and have a second invitation to pull the trigger on this thing. Hit it extremely well. He's such a handful to defend. Understands that if I stay high and wide, it puts my outside back in a very tricky situation. Borelli has his handfuls, but Yuma's done extremely well to provide coverage for the left back.
Beckford denied by Borelli. Calvillo, part of the title-winning team in Orange County 2 years ago. Foster got all the way to Diaz. Foster in quickly. Henriquez. Shiftily to the end line. That'll be a corner.
But it's better for the Switchbacks. There's the willingness to get into that final third, to create overloads, force turnovers. Stephen Hogan has to be extremely pleased 6 minutes into the second half.
Beckford for Williams. Williams onto his right, off the crossbar, down to Segrist. And that's out for a corner. Speedy doesn't score a lot of goals, but if he scores that one, whoa.
And he does terrific just to get this ball in his right foot. Has eyes for that top corner, but talk about a death touch for Benny Diaz just to punch it off that crossbar. Speedy Williams has it in his locker to strike from distance, the technique that he has. Such a special player.
Corner kick brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Bouncing down atop the 6. Foster the bike. And finally away. Says all the makings of last year's run and gun switchbacks. Whoa. They are getting all kinds of comfortable trying to get past Benny Diaz. El Paso looking for the third that would seemingly salt this thing away. Wow. In behind for Foster. Yuma appealing. Offside flag's not going to go up. Foster. Who impeded whom? That's a free kick.
It just seems like the script has flipped. Now was the switchbacks asking all sorts of questions, putting numbers in around that 18-yard box. Foster going for the spectacular. When he gets a hold of this thing, the thing's probably in the back of the net, but give credit to Yuma. Puts his head up in a dangerous situation. Now a very dangerous set piece once again for the switchbacks.
Free kick scoring opportunity brought to you by Underline, delivering gigabit fiber internet. That'll skim over the top out the other side, be a throw for the switchbacks. By the way, Speedy has scored 14 goals in 207 games in the league. Lest we forget, he did have the championship ceiling assist with Louisville a few years ago. Ball in for Skundrich, hangs on the turf, put it on the outside of the net.
Not known for his goal scoring ability, but
everything else.
Everything else. The ability to dictate tempo, pull the strings, sense of security, leadership. What a massive signing he's been for Colorado Springs.
Part of 14 World Cup qualifiers for Jamaica. Featured in Nations League with Jamaica as well. He started that game where Jamaica drew Mexico in Nations League.
And you bring him in and it gives so much freedom to Skundrich and Echeverria to advance forward into higher lines, because they know when you have a player like that, the quality, the experience that Speedy Williams has, they're going to be safe. Any sort of mistake covers so much ground, such a special key.
Three-peated in this league. 2016 Red Bulls, and then back-to-back Louisville City, before on to Miami, and now here. Ball central, dummied through. Foster leans it back. Skundrich, no. Foster slid aside. Beckford! Yuma went sliding. Way over the top. Skundrich over Rose. Oh.
And once again, the vision from Speedy Williams. Give credit to Secrets. He understands as this back line is retreating towards the goal line, there's going to be real estate for this cutback ball. I think Foster's caught between two minds. Do they go on myself? Do I let it come through my legs? Beckford takes a shot at it, but if you're Colorado Springs switchbacks, you want to test Benny Diaz in this moment. And this is a scary sight to see. Esco just comes over the top there of Rose. Lands awkwardly. Seems to be okay. Getting numbers in around that 18-yard box of switchbacks, but yet to really test Benny Diaz apart from Speedy Williams' shot from distance.
Injury stoppage presented by Centura Health. Good to see Rose back up. You understand it from the attacking player, keep this thing going, and yet if you're Rose, get totally blindsided. If you're El Paso, we talk about control. How do you regain control? Or are you willing, at least until you seed one, to sort of allow this pressure to continue until maybe Colorado Springs tucker themselves out?
I think you just need to get on the ball. You had Calvillo and Rose so influential in that first half. Petrovic, Kostishin, we haven't really said their names at all. And those players were saying them every other word in the broadcast in that first half.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the double pivot to really take the sting out of the game and get those players confident, get them in rhythm once again. I mentioned it once, I'll mention it again. It seems like the script has been flipped. Now it's the switchbacks on the ball, finding those half bases, pulling players out of position, making a Paso run from left to right. In the first half, it was the opposite. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing plays out.
Beckford around the outside and sends that around the outside. First changes here for El Paso. They're going to make two. Josue Aaron Gomez and Emmanuel Sanupe in off the bench. Sanupe was the first signing by last year's coach, Hutchinson. And Aaron Gomez, his 5th season with El Paso, seeking his 30th goal for the club tonight. That's it for Petrovic, who scored in the 13th minute.
And just quality, confident, clean technique. He understands just information on this pass here from Zacharias. I have to hit this one time. Awkward, slow to recover ground and close that window. Just a terrific showing from Petrovic.
Substitutions are brought to you by the William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org. And Calvillo, one of the best set-piece specialists in the league, stands over the ball, can feather this in just about anywhere.
Now it's going to be very interesting for Gomez and Sanupe. How quickly can they acclimate to this game and get to tempo, play yourself, connect your first pass, keep it simple at first, and once you start to get the rhythm, then you start to express yourself. Take care of the ball. That's going to be your best friend at the moment. Trying to negate the switchbacks in terms of their transition moments and causing problems in their attacking third.
Lions, oh my, knockdown.
We're talking about taking the sting. This is also a way to slow the game down. Set pieces, take a little bit longer if you're Calvillo to get the right spot where you want the ball. Really put brakes on the switchbacks at the moment.
Calvillo, it's off of Williams. Enriquez spins free. Was going to give advantage. There is no advantage. That's a yellow card. Calvillo got booked. Yellow card sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe.
Enriquez does extremely well. Just turns Borelli, turns Calvillo like a top. Feels the contact, goes down. Professional foul there from Calvillo. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess the two El Salvador internationals tangling there. Nothing negative. That's just the game. Foster, somehow that got all the way to him. Yuma drives it away, and then there's a foul that sees Echeverria go down. And Williams plays quick into the penalty area. Foster knew that was going to be a corner. He allows it out. Segrist helped earn it. Pepsi, that's what I like. Corner kick. I can't match this public address announcer. Can't do it. Colorado Springs with a wave of momentum. Henriquez, header down, Ockford! Jimmy Ockford gets one back for Colorado Springs. It's 2-1, game on!
And it's terrific movement here from Ockford. Just coming around the corner, off the shoulder of Zacharias, between Yuma. There's confusion within the back line of El Paso Locomotive, but Ockford makes no mistake about it. Heads it down over his right shoulder, just helps this thing into that far post. There's nothing Benny Diaz can do, but it's a terrific header from the defender to cut this lead in half.
First goal in his last 82 games. Jimmy Ockford's first since 2019 with Nashville. Two changes for Colorado Springs. Musa, free kick, and Musa's booked. All right, we got a lot of sales to do here. Let's start with the obvious. Yellow card is sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe. Musa booked in the 63rd. Eric Calvillo scored a jaw-dropping goal for Orange County, and he ran straight over to an assistant coach and gave him a huge hug. Someone has to go shag the balls when they don't all go in the net. And Calvillo would spend hours upon hours hitting free kicks from distances just like this. Calvillo looking for a moment of divine intervention. The intervention came from Herrera. Corner.
And it's always tricky if you're Calvillo trying to close your hips and tries to go to the keeper's side. You have to heat it extremely well with a lot of pace. That's a fantastic save from Herrera. Doesn't bite, pushes it wide, forces a corner kick.
Corner brought to you by Pikes Peak National Bank. Bank well, be well, cheer loud. Ziggy making as much noise as he can down in the corner. Calvillo. There's a near post run that got collapsed down to Rose. Outside Calvillo. And this will escape. Substitutions were brought to you by the William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org. So you asked for Romario Williams and Jay Chapman, you got him.
That's going to be very interesting. Romario Williams, just a whole different number 9 than Foster. He's going to stay high. He's going to occupy Yuma and Popkovic. That's going to give the real estate for Foster at Beckford and Enriquez to run around him and have room to operate in. Jay Chapman, just very classy the way that he plays, the ability to connect passes, have that final bit of quality and execution in that final third. So get him on the ball between lines. And if you're Stephen Hogan, bringing DC players on the field is a luxury that you have.
Roland Vargas, who's the encyclopedia of this team, through here, Williams wide. Romario Williams just came into the game.
And we just talked about it. He stays centrally. That gives real estate for Enriquez to come in the pocket. Just shifts out wide off of Yuma's right shoulder. Brilliant first touch out of his feet. And he's going to want this one back. Has eyes for that far post. He hits it extremely well. Just pulls it a bit too much, but making his impact felt already, Romario Williams.
Let's go back to this because it now really fits. Vargas had a piece on SwitchbacksFC.com this week, in part with a quote from Stephen Hogan. When we go out and get a player, we primarily look at their best position, but the versatility they provide in others. So you bring in Romario Williams, an out-and-out number 9 with a different skill set than Foster. Foster just on the ball here for the Switchbacks, able to glide into that right-hand side, and like Beckford provided out on the left throughout this game, Beckford calling for it now, although they go into Henriquez. You've now got 2 flyers wide, and Williams providing a different look up front just by making one change.
I think it's just all about the ability to adapt. If you're Stephen Hogan, you look at the opposition and say, okay, if I can test whether it's Yuma, Popkovic, in behind and make them face around and chase their goal, that's going to give players the real estate. But you claw one back, now you want your players to come in front of them to create. Whether it's Enriquez, Beckford, Deshane, Foster as well, just testing them, getting in behind around the corner. When you're Stephen Hogan, you have so many different looks that you can play in combinations, relationships. And now it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out in the rest of this second half.
Long run for Gomez, won't get there. Lacroix taps it aside. Switchbacks have now scored in 16 straight home games, but they need another to get something from tonight. Ball clipped across. Diaz with the late arriving run in his rear view mirror from Malik Foster.
But now on the other side, if you're El Paso Locomotive, defensively, Calvillo and Rose, your job's not done if that ball gets by you. The way that Romario Williams likes to play, invite contact, drop it in, spin, and go in behind. So you're looking for that secondary action, whether it's attacking for the switchbacks, defensively for the 2 pivots for El Paso Locomotive. And this game is going to be won or lost in those little half moments between lines. Who can react quick and to pick up those second balls?
Injury stoppage by Centura Health. Gomez up and about.
Yeah, there's just no need there if your Lacroix just comes through the backside of Gomez.
Ball settled, sent across for Solignac. That's vital from Lacroix. It's not quite a sellout, perhaps. There's a few open seats, but it's a great crowd on this Cinco de Mayo Friday night. El Paso looking for one more to take the sting out of this. Corner is brought to you by the McDivitt Law Firm. We're in your corner. Sign my bucket hat, please. Corner, up and away by Ockford. Back in by Lyons. And matriculates back to Yuma, who dummies it back to Diaz.
So casual.
See, so much of what he does, you go, no way he's 37, but only a 37-year-old could have the audacity.
Not even look at the ball, stare at the oncoming opponent as well. Just top class there from Yuma, only him.
Part of this El Paso team from the jump. That's a good thievery high up the field. Zacharias overtaken by Henriquez. And Musa steps through, now the whistle. Free kick. There's going to be a yellow card to Henriquez as well. Musa was a bystander, thankfully. He's on a yellow card.
And it's a late whistle. Zacharias is extremely well to pick the pocket. And yeah, you can just see the trailing leg catches Zacharias from there. Henriquez, not of the ball, takes all of his ankle. Here's the contact, goes down. Now it's a very dangerous set piece for El Paso Locomotive. The fans don't like it.
Calvillo almost hit Pater last time. Yellow card sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe. A deep breath from Henriquez, who by committing the foul has put himself in the unenviable position of being the first off that 4-player wall. Calvillo and Gomez, 2 terrific options from about 22 yards. In a perfect world, left or right foot for this?
I think left foot over the wall, bending away from the keeper. If you're Calvillo, you have to hit it extremely well.
Calvillo went for goal! That did get a piece of the wall, which does the job, just enough of the job, a corner.
And you're always aiming for that left shoulder at the end of the wall. Romario Williams is extremely well to head it down. That has eyes for the back of the net. So dangerous on set pieces. But give credit to Herrera, puts his ball to perfection in terms of their position and do exactly what's needed.
Calvillo, 2 assists on the young season. Calvillo, this is off the training ground. It's Rose, it's Calvillo. Switchback step to him. Sanupe. Chapman in his wake. Sanupe out of real estate. Hey, Paco Craig leads Miami FC into Kentucky to take on his former team, and another center back on the rise, Josh Winder, the reigning Eastern Conference winner, Louisville City hosting Miami FC. Don't miss the start of a new season of the USL on ESPN. It's May 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. Devin Curl joined me for that one, and boy, the East is a beautiful disaster right now.
If you're a fan, you love it. Anyone can beat anyone. No one's really taking the conference by both hands and making their mind. So it'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out.
El Paso looking for that third, take the wind out of Colorado Springs' sails.
Go ahead, go!
Skittering inward, Lions for Calvillo. Outside Sanupe. That deflected by Ockford. Down by Gomez. Spinning Zacharias. Followed. Teed up for Gomez. Run from Borelli. Right back to Borelli by Williams. Slaloms inward, Sanupe! Sanupe! Toward the line and in! Emmanuel Sanupe! His first goal of the season, and the Locomotive on the road restore a 2-goal lead.
And it's frustrating here from the switchbacks. Every Speedy Williams, you know better, headed up and away, not back into danger. But as Sanupe makes his central position, brilliant turn, creates his own luck. Right through the wickets of Musa, goes up and over Herrera. But talk about the turn to keep that ball close to your feet. Gives you the ability to hit it first time. You don't have the time and space to take a second touch. Opens up his hips. You see what he's trying to do. And Musa just so unfortunate. That man won't care. Off to the corner to give El Paso a bit of breathing room here. 3-1 as we approach the 74th minute.
Just 1 goal a season ago, and Sanupe bags valuable insurance away here with a chance to catch the switchbacks in the standings and earn retribution from the early season defeat at Southwest University Park back in March. Well, Colorado Springs load up again. That's behind Romario Williams. El Paso, it's been 27 games again since they lost a halftime lead. Ended up leaving with nothing. Calvillo. That's a foul, that's a card to Romario Williams. That's his 4th yellow in 9 games. Welcome to the accumulation warning. And Rose latching onto his left arm. Yellow card sponsored by Diversus Health, Mental Health, and Wellbeing for All. Remember, take a moment to breathe. Change here for Colorado Springs. Get 1 more attacking player on the field, and Aaron Wheeler. Substitution is brought to you by the William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org.
And that's pure frustration there from Romario Williams. Knows exactly what he's doing, comes in late, catches Rose. But he's had a good impact since coming on. Had that shot moments ago with his left foot. When we take a look at it here, you can just see the ball's gone. The kick out between the legs of the center midfielder.
Be sure to stop by the concessions and grab our Big Kid hot dog over at the Voodoo Lounge, or grab a kid's lunchbox from Bristol.
Rose on the move. He actually played at Central Coast Mariners. John Hutchinson. Time in Australia, Armenia. 26-year-old has started every game this year. That means he's already started more games than they did all of last season. They found the right mix of him and Calvillo. Solignac, Petrovic, Sanupe for El Paso. Goal that it felt like El Paso desperately needed, despite already holding the advantage. Big switch by Chapman. Chapman. Square ball to Williams, picked off. Sanupe, former Tottenham Academy player. Chapman. Foster. Got away from Chapman. Deflected into the path of Foster. Got the love tap from Zacharias, wins a free kick.
And it's clever there from Foster. He knows he's beaten from pace. I just put it in front of me. I can run onto it. If there's any sort of contact goes down. Remember, Speedy Williams, you're aiming for right between that 6-yard box and penalty mark. Ask questions of Benny Diaz and his positioning.
All put in play and wide by Skundrich.
Switchbacks fans, bring your ticket from tonight's game with the Long Ford Lincoln or Value Car at C Market Maverick for $500 off any new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit us today. See dealer for details.
Chapman. Lacroix. Times of the essence here. Beckford. Slides by Gomez. Lyons out to meet him. Beckford. That hit the post. Make no mistake, Diaz appeared to have that covered, but here's a good look.
Those are always tricky. You just whip it towards the goal, see what happens. I don't think he means it, but if it goes in, it's off to the corner and say, I do mean it. But very unlucky.
That nearly entered the Schross Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Sent away by Diaz. Final 10 minutes here. There is proof already not to turn the TV off in the league tonight. Foster, Wheeler, got caught between his feet. Yuma, cast aside by Wheeler. The 34-year-old catching the shoulder of the 37-year-old.
And it's just a different look here with the switchbacks. Wheeler, very physical, very tall, number 9, likes to play with his back towards goal, bring players in. So him and Romario Williams are going to stay side by side. So they're going to occupy Human Pavkovic. Have willing runners underneath him, just playing into the feet of him, and the ability for those two players to hold up the ball. It gives the switchback side a chance.
Gomez wiped off. El Paso have never lost here, but their last 5 games here, ball ended in a draw. Into the bench, restarted here by Colorado Springs. El Paso stomped Louisville earlier this year. Totally unexpected result. by many in the league. To do it in Louisville, that was really the turning point for an El Paso team that struggled to a 1-3-1 start. They have a chance now to get to second in the league. Taken back by the Locomotive. Sanupe sprinting. Kept away from Wheeler. Since the third goal, El Paso's been in control.
Just a bit more calm and just connecting their passes, really patient in their build out. I mean, a bit shaky coming out of the locker room. The wave of pressure that the Switchbacks implemented and applied, don't really know how to deal with it, but when you score that third one, it gives you that sense of confidence just to see this game out.
Gets all the way over to Sanupe. There's that calm again. Borelli. Ofkovic accepts the return back to Diaz. Well, Diaz is off his line. Williams off the turnover. Calvillo and Williams tangled up. Williams on a yellow card. Elvis Osmanovic trying to settle things now.
And that's the risk you run when you're trying to see a game out in terms of possession, connecting passes very slow, trying to slow the tempo down. You can't be complacent and just dilly-dally on the ball. You see one sloppy turnover. Fortunate enough for El Paso, Yuma stepped high and the catches Romario Williams offside. You still need to be clean and decisive in your decision makings.
It's with El Paso still. New Mexico and RGV already done tonight out west. Both teams here will be pleased to see it finishes 2-2. Cristiano Francois scored in the 7th. Wilmer Cabrera Jr. scored in the 73rd. And then New Mexico in stoppage got goals from Harry Swartz and Sergio Rivas to turn an assured loss away into a point. Quite the Houdini trick they pulled off. So the Switchbacks do have someone to look at tonight. Williams just got spun like a top. Rose barking at him.
Bit of a revenge factor there from Rose just coming through. Williams, they're paying him for the challenges moments ago. That was exactly what he's doing, the center midfielder. Ball's gone, hard challenge. But good on Williams to keep his head and not retaliate.
Yuma, contact from behind, penalty! Yuma pushes into the back of Skundrich. A penalty for the Switchbacks with 3.5 minutes and stoppage time to go.
Skundrich does extremely well. Just backs up, sees the contact coming. I'll tell you what, I think it's extremely soft there from Yuma, but you always run the risk when you come through the backside of an attacking player, especially in that 18-yard box. But give credit to Skundrich. Feels the contact, goes down, invites the contact, importantly, and now gives Colorado Springs Switchbacks an opportunity to get a second goal in the 87th minute here.
Well, including his time in Liga MX and the under-20 league there, 9 makes in 11 tries against Benny Diaz. In the USL, 1 save, 1 goal conceded. The only player he stopped was his teammate now when he was with Oakland, Aaron Gomez. Romario Williams steps to the spot. Known far and wide, a lethal goal scorer. Any hope of a comeback to get something tonight rests on this. Williams delivers. Switchbacks back within one. Switchbacks goal presented by Century Casinos. Welcome to the winner's zone.
You see the contact here, but look at Skundridge, a peek over his shoulder. It's soft, but there is contact, and Yuma knows better. Don't want to give the opportunity to the referee to point to the spot. Williams steps up, cool, calm, collected, sends Benny Diaz the wrong way, and that's what you want from the goal scorer, to get his third on the year, and now giving life to the Switchbacks.
His first try at the spot since 2020. Third of the year for Williams. Game on once more. Down towards Solignac. Sanupe driving down to the end line. Out of the reach of Gomez and Zacharias. This would have a defensive coach pulling their hair out. But for the casual fan like us, this game has been wild.
You expect anything else on Seco de Valle?
No. Held up back to Ockford. Scored his first goal in over 80 appearances. Free kick, Colorado Springs. Williams steps to the ball. Free kick scoring opportunity is brought to you by Underline, delivering gigabit fiber internet. Ball forward, too high for Wheeler. Yuma trying to create a little piece here. Borelli was screaming down to Wheeler. El Paso making a change. Eric McHugh, the defender, enters here for Zacharias, trying to see this over the line. The substitution is brought to you by the William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org. So McHugh sprints into position for El Paso. Stoppage time is presented by the TikTok Shop. 3 added minutes. And as that change occurred, the fourth official initially suggested 3 minutes, just lifted the board for 4 minutes of added time, and El Paso with the 1-goal advantage here. They've been up by 2 on 2 occasions, 2-0, 3-1. We'll have to absorb another 60 seconds somehow. That's a foul from Speedy Williams. Hammered down into the corner. Ockford sends that into the seats. As you'd expect, El Paso in no particular hurry. This has potential to be an enormous victory on the road for El Paso. Musa springs out to the other side. Lacroix. A lot of room to run here for Colorado Springs. Beckford orchestrating. Bypasses Chapman. Got over Calvillo. Sent into the stands. Apologies for the fruity language.
Hey, Brad, wow. Your buddy in the center is wearing a white jersey.
Lacroix. We do hear him, yes. 100 ticks to go. Clipped over the top. Wheeler header across. Straight up into the air. Down to Oxford. Saying, surely that must have hit something. You could have called that from here. It's a goal kick.
The Switchbacks have had so much success just playing off the shoulder. That late run in from Wheeler, he has a choice. Does he go for glory? He heads it back across to a dangerous situation. And it is a corner kick. It hits off Borelli. I think Wheeler does extremely well. Tries to head this thing across back into traffic.
McHugh just earned his whole paycheck.
Exactly, McHugh positioned to perfection. But the second phase here, as Oxford tries to go. And he can't believe it. I think there is an argument to be had from the young man. Goes out for a questionable goal kick.
Header down to Chapman. Ball in behind for Foster. Foster, that deflects right to Calvillo. Foster stepping in again. It's a throw for the Switchbacks. At least 30 seconds remaining. Into the box, Chapman. Referee giving a free kick, El Paso, and that might be enough. El Paso feel it was a soft penalty that let the Switchbacks back in. And there's the final whistle. El Paso moved to second in the Western Conference with a gutty 3-2 win on the road.
The Switchbacks would like to thank its key sponsors for their support this season.
Enormous and revenge-filled win for El Paso Locomotive. How about we take a look at the critical moment of the match brought to you by Centura Health. This brought it to 2-1.
And it's all about the movement on the back end. Off the shoulder of Yuma, he just rises up. And it's a terrific header there from Mockford. Heads it down, snaps over his right shoulder. Benny Diaz can't even move. Terrific goal to give Switchbacks some life at the moment.
Well, Beckford, you saw him a moment ago. The fireworks are starting here. Votes in, he's the Better Business Bureau man of the match. Verified customer reviews. Check business ratings at bbb.org. And Beckford, most crosses of any player tonight. There's a look a moment ago before we dim the lights.
And he was probably the most dangerous player as well for the Switchbacks. Stays high and wide, just goes at his defender non-stop, 1v1. The quality in that final third. Such a nightmare to defend and well-deserved man of the match, to Shane Beckford.
Fireworks begin. And we'll step aside for a moment, show you all 5 goals on the other side of the break. El Paso moved to second. What a win on the road for the Locomotive. Back after these messages and a word from your local station.
Burgers for the mind, tacos for the heart, and chili for the soul. We're Felipe's 109, home of the taco burger. Local flavors, family owned, love, peace, green chili, y'all.
Ready for a race? It all starts June 11th at 7 a.m. The Garden of the Gods 10-mile, 10K and trail run. Bring your friends and family to the post-race expo. Enjoy the stunning scenery, vendor booths, food and drinks. For event times, go to garden10mile.com.
At Fox 21, we say we are Southern Colorado, but what does that really mean?
It means we bring you the local stories from our towns, our people.
With stories that show how you live, work, and play.
Plus the stories that impact our communities.
We want to tell the stories that are important to you because we are Southern Colorado.
Watch Fox 21 Local News, weekday mornings from 5 to 9 a.m. and weeknights at 5, 6:30, 9, and 10.
Here at Fox 21 Local News, because we are Southern Colorado, we want to highlight the best of Southern Colorado.
Fox 21 and SoCo CW are launching our very own Best of the Best Southern Colorado campaign.
And now it's your chance to nominate your favorite businesses.
Scan the QR code on screen now to nominate your favorites in one of 4 regions for their chance to be named Best of the Best of Southern Colorado.
Plus, you could win a $250 Visa gift card just for taking part.
Let's hear it, Southern Colorado. Who is the best?
El Paso Locomotive, a 3-2 win over Colorado Springs. A crazy finish here tonight. And as the smoke clears, we'll walk you through our full-time highlights. Our post-game brought to you by Diversus Health. Let's take a look at those highlights, of which there are many here on the CW. Starting the 10th minute of play, here's your opening goal. It's Solignac grabbing his 5th goal contributions in 5 straight.
And you just look at the center of your screen, the striker telling his winger to slow down and then speed it up. The change of movement, clever between the lines, off the shoulder of Musa, off the shoulder of Laquan. No one rotates over to coverage. When you have Petrovic, you have that luxury to slow games up, but also speed it down. He was so good defending 1v1 and asking questions of Ockford. But you see the lack of rotation and coverage here from Ockford. Too far apart. Doesn't have the legs to get across to Petrovic, and what a classy finish that is from the winger. Just slots it into that far post, and you thought El Paso could run away with this thing, but after the break, Mike, it was all the switchbacks.
Switchbacks, number of chances to grab their opener, including this from Speedy Williams. Benny Diaz getting a delicate touch to it, skip into the 61st minute. And finally, it's Jimmy Ockford, of all people.
He does terrific. Like a striker inside that 18-yard box and moving off the back end. Then Speedy Williams' frustration. He knows better than this not to head it back into a dangerous situation. But what a terrific turn this is from Sanupe. Creates his own luck. Just a moment between James Musa and Herrera. Goes up and over the keeper that's gone down. And El Paso 3-1 at the moment. And then if you're Yuma, you know better. But give credit to Skundrich. He understands. He peeked over his left shoulder, invites a contact, and he felt anything. He was always going to go down. Yuma, you know better never to give the opportunity to the referee to point to the spot. And Williams stands up, cool, calm, and collected, sends Herrera the wrong way, or Diaz the wrong way, puts into the back of the net.
His 44th championship goal. Williams helping to create for the Switchbacks in stoppage time, looking for the equalizer.
And then Wheeler, the back post, has 2 decisions. Do I go for glory? Do I put it back across into a dangerous situation? McHugh, the substitution, reads this play to perfection. Gets himself right on top of that 6-yard box. Puts it up and away, and El Paso back-to-back wins on the road. Brian Clare, however, needs to be extremely pleased with his boys' performance.
All right, here's a look at the Better Business Bureau full-time stats and a chance for your final thoughts in a game that had 31 shots and, only 5 goals on the board. There could have been a lot more.
I think if you're Stephen Hogan, there's positives to take. After the break, you were probably the better side in the second half, but in the first half, it needs to start better. 2 lackadaisical, when you give time and space to not only El Paso, but any team in USL Championship, you're going to get punished. El Paso Locomotive so good at being clinical, finding the back of the net. Brian Claro, not very easy to come into this field, this hostile environment, and take all 3 points on the road.
All right, the Switchbacks go on the road for their next 3, Memphis, Indy, and Tampa Bay on successive Saturdays. Get home to take on Oakland Roots on June the 2nd, nearly a month from now. El Paso return home next weekend, and then begin a 3-game road swing of their own. Right now, they're level on points. It's El Paso that ensures they split the season series. For Ricky Lopez, that's been our entire team in Colorado Springs and beyond. Mike Watts saying thanks for watching as the Locomotive grab a thrilling 3-2 win on the road.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.